This week on the program, we focus our attention on the family's health and well-being as well as safety. This is Today with John and Helen live on PlusTvAfrica, and I am your host, Helen Olaleye. You're welcome to the most engaging and impactful conversation on television as of today.
Yeah, and in these perilous times, we are committed to ensuring that you have all the information needed to enrich your life and those of your loved ones. Prevention is not only better than cure, it is cheaper and a wise route to go. I am John Senaya, and I'm excited that together we shall add value to lives today. Thanks for joining us.
Now, believe it or not, good health is at the center of everything. The absence of it robs us all of the goodies that life has in stock for us. And so on the show today, two medical doctors and a seasoned fire security practitioner are on hand to show us how to put our safety first above everything else.
Yes, well, and before we get into all of that, let's take a quick break. We'll get comfortable and ready for an exciting, educational and informative session. We'll see you after the break.
All right, thank you so much for being there. Honestly, this is the best decision that you've made this weekend, believe me. And first up, we have Dr. Akinyemi Olaleye, who will be discussing the topic many men shy away from, but one that affects women everywhere: menopause. What men should know.
Yeah, Dr. Akinyemi Olaleye is an obstetrician, gynaecologist, and Gynae endoscopy surgeon, currently serving as the chairman and executive director of Samida Clinic Limited, a women-centered gynecological and endoscopy center. Quite a mouthful, unexpected. Dr. Olaleye, we are thrilled to have you with us today on the show. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Olaleye, I can't wait to take in all of the very important perspective that you have, to share with us on this matter. Previously, I didn't think that it was any business, of the men.
I'll tell you that it has a lot to do with the men.
Yes.
And I believe we will delve into all that.
Yes. So doctor, before we start the question, and I just want to clear a few things. Can we talk man to man?
Of course.
At this point.
Of course we can.
I noticed that these days a lot of our women carry, this device, this fan.
Yes, rechargeable fans.
Rechargeable fans in their bags.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Is it as a result of climate change, or is it is it just the wiring?
Well, I'll tell you that a lot has to do with the wiring.
With the wiring,
makeup, quote and unquote.
Okay.
If you go to an outdoor event and there's a lot of
and we see the all
makeup,
but our mothers never used those fans.
Yes, well, I think it's advancements. I went to a party recently.
Okay, so we'll go into the question.
We'll go to that.
Helen, you want to go first? Yes.
Okay, so well, that's a topic for another day, because it's not only the older women who are close to menopause, or
we're not talking about menopause yet. Yes. We're just talking about those fans.
Okay, all right, okay.
I'd like to say this. Someone says by the time you spend hundreds of thousands to do a makeup for a makeup artist to do makeup, you don't want it to wash down too quickly. So
you have to get out. Yes. So carry two of those things.
Okay. Right. So Dr. Olaleye, let's get into the issue of menopause and the aspect of men. Can you briefly explain what menopause is, and at what stage in life, should women typically begin to expect or experience it?
All right, thank you very much. Menopause itself, just like the word actually says, they say menopause, meaning menses stops.
Oh, so that men stop.
Yes, no, menses actually stops, right?
Okay.
So it's a retrospective diagnosis, really, meaning that you can't say today that I'm menopausal today, right? The woman's period would have stopped, menstrual period would have stopped for at least 6 months before you say this is actually menopause, right? Fine. And it is when you now have a woman who has been menstruating naturally before and getting to that age where menstruation stops. Average age ranges between about 45 to 55 years around this area, especially with a mean of around 48 now. But there are a few other factors that can now make it come earlier or later. Some could be genetics, maybe family line, that's how it has been. Then for those who smoke as well, it can come earlier, because the eggs in the ovary, as they finish, they actually determine a lot of what happens during the woman's reproductive life. So as the eggs are finishing, the tendency to keep on menstruating also goes down the line. So that's what it is.
Before we look at the egg tray, the eggs finishing in the tray,
Yes.
what are the common symptoms of menopause that men like me should be aware of in their partners? Because sometimes they get weird sometimes.
Yes, you're right. And I like where we started the program, because that's where it actually starts. Men like you and I,
Yes.
by the time we have our women needing to carry fans from point A to point B, even without the makeup on and all that, then we need to start asking questions. Why do you need the fan? Because one of the first things you notice about menopause, which starts in the period we call the climacterics. Climacteric period is a period before menopause itself, where the hormone levels start to dwindle, especially estrogen. So during that time, women will start developing, one of the first few things that we start noticing is what we call hot flushes, which is a sudden sensation of heat, which comes from the face down to the neck and the chest, and they can be actually sweating as well.
At all time, in the morning, in the
Not at all times. It comes on and off, lasting maybe about 30 seconds to a minute thereabout. So it's usually sudden, and where everybody is feeling cold and all that, that feeling comes.
That's when some genders, when they come into the studio, it's freezing and they tell us to put on the AC.
Yeah, right.
And then sometimes they come into this studio and it's hot and they say, no, you should put the... No, some genders are not...
Okay.
Well, by the time you are looking at that one, you may be looking at a totally different ailment entirely. But for menopause, it's actually that feeling of heat, right?
Heat, okay.
In medical terms, we call them vasomotor symptoms, because it's not actually really what it is, but because of the fact that estrogen is no longer there, so some of those nerves and the firing and all those things become different, and then that comes once in a while. They will also have some effects on the genitourinary system, meaning the genital area and the urinary system as well. All right.
What happens?
Yes, because of that estrogen withdrawal, which is one of the shortcomings and what happens with menopause, because the eggs, you said we should not talk about the egg tray. We have to keep making reference to the egg tray.
To the egg tray.
Because those egg trays are the ones that actually produce those estrogens as they are developing.
Okay.
So once they are not there, then a lot of tissues in the body are starved of estrogen. The woman's hormonal milieu is directed by estrogen, and her body is also directed by estrogen. So when there is estrogen withdrawal with menopause, a lot of those tissues will sort of protest, quote and unquote, right? So the vagina may start becoming dry. The woman may be susceptible to recurrent urinary infection, because the urethra as well, that allows urine to come out, becomes devoid of estrogen, so their functions also reduces. Some people, it could be so bad that the uterus and the vagina and the cervix starts to descend and come out as well. It could be part of that. We call that prolapse.
Joe female, Jerry.
Joe female is actually...
This is yes. I beg your
So it's part of it, because if you have a wife or a partner who is going menopausal and she's making some certain complaints, then you need to find out why she's making this complaint. Before I touch her for just 2 minutes before she becomes wet enough for us to continue our romance as husband and wife. But now it doesn't come like that. Why is it happening like that? Then also, when you have a partner who starts complaining of bone pains and having pains here and there, which were not there before, which is also part of what menopause causes, because bone loss is a major factor in menopause as well.
Tell me more.
Okay.
Bone loss?
Yes, because estrogen, like I said earlier, directs everything. Estrogen encourages absorption of calcium from the intestinal tract as well. It works like calcitonin and all that, which are just some of the hormones that help calcium homeostasis in the body, meaning calcium metabolism and how the body uses it. And basic science says calcium is what forms our bones, right? There's always a lot of adverts that say give your children It's also milk that has a lot of calcium. So calcium is important for our bone formation. So when the body cannot absorb those calcium again from the intestinal tract because of estrogen withdrawal, then what happens is that there's some hormones called parathyroid hormone which has to make your body produce those calcium. So it goes to the bone to take calcium from there to take to other places for work.
And of course, there's a linkage between this and emotional state.
That's the next one.
That's the next.
So that's the reason why they get all
because
irritable.
Psychological concerns of issues about menopause are also major. They're actually major. And when we're talking about the role of men, which is what we're discussing this morning, the men need to understand that she wasn't acting like this before. Why is she acting like that now? Because that's the first thing. What can I do? Darling, do we see a doctor? Because there are a few things you may not understand yourself. Oh, she's now getting irritable, she feels depressed, etc. So when we start having those kind of concerns, then it could be related to the act of menopause itself, because the psychiatric concerns of menopause could range from just mild depression all the way to dementia as well. So
from the regular depression to dementia.
Yes, menopause, because the estrogen withdrawal can be that severe in some people. So that's why you don't need to ignore. And part of what maybe we'll discuss later, but there's a lot of myth around about these things, and perhaps when we get to that,
dementia has to do with forgetfulness. A minute ago, Helen was looking for her pen.
Consequences.
Where's my Bible? Where's my pen?
I'm sure Helen is
beyond just getting information. I'm sure, John, you chose this topic for
deliberately.
And now Interesting. Okay, I will get you.
You will.
I will.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So what are some lifestyle changes? These things. A lot of the times, I just say this body is like an engine. We just keep moving. We have no idea what's happening. And in this part of the world, not a lot of people, men or women, will experience something immediately and see the need to go see a doctor to begin to explain, what's happening within and, coming to the fore, as a result of what's happening inside. So what are some of the lifestyle changes that women can begin to look at so they can manage the symptoms of menopause better, and how can the men in their lives also, what supportive role can they play?
Yes, thank you so much. That word support is very key to management of menopause. The physician also has to support. Husband needs to support. And I'm going to extend this a little bit as well to the rest of the family. The children also have to support when it comes to this, right? And one thing that is for sure is that if you are a partner to somebody who is going through menopause, you need to watch your partner and see what help you can give. Now, lifestyle changes. A few things that could start to develop with a woman who's going through menopause would include things like her tendency for increased heart diseases, her tendency to increase bone loss, like we said, which we call osteoporosis in medicine. All right, and we talked about the psychological aspects of that as well. So for the men, what is important is that first thing we talk about is diet. Diet has a lot of role to play in a lot of disease pathologies, right? So if we could have a situation where there's less tendency towards high cholesterol containing diet, increase your fiber diet, minerals, water minerals and things like that, less of things that could increase cholesterol levels. So things like that. Good diet also helps to manage the side effects of menopause a lot.
But
right?
the pocket has to be able to afford this good diet.
You have to balance everything. I guess that's what the way life is now.
Yes.
You have to do that. So the other thing is also, to try to, when we're talking about lifestyle changes, a number of people don't understand the need to have annual medical assessment tests. Of course, we don't expect you to wait till when you're menopausal before you start that. But menopause might also be a sign that you need to encourage your partner, who is the woman who has just become menopausal, to go to the hospital to do an annual assessment. You know, what's your heart saying? You do an ECG, check the heart. What's the hormones saying? Check all those things. What's your calcium level? Is it normal? What are your risk of developing ischemic heart disease and things like that? You know, so those values could be checked. What are your clotting profiles? So when there's a comprehensive assessment, some of the concerns that menopause may put in the body could be detected, and the doctors will take steps to manage them. Exercise is also very important as well. All right, because now we all understand that the need to keep your body in a fit state also helps to reduce those effects of menopause. And you know, these exercises are not just about physical exercise. We also talk about brain exercises as well. It helps to reduce the memory loss that you're talking about. You know, you read more, get your brain some tasks. All those things help the brain to also keep working and keep doing well. All right, and with a partner that is supportive, you could also look at the things that the woman herself is not actually keen on, or she's not noticing. Oh, yesterday evening I noticed your skin was so dry. Didn't you use a lotion or something? Oh, I used lotion but it's still dry. Because some of us, it's because menopause has manifestations from the head to the toe. So you as a husband, as a partner, will see some changes in your wife that were not there before. So don't ignore these changes. That's why, you know, I'm going to bring in the issue of the myth now. A while back, when men realize that, oh, my wife is no longer cooperating, when I go to meet her in the evening, I touch her, it takes 1 hour, she's not ready for me to go on and for us to do what husband and wife should do. Then you want to look for a younger wife who can subserve that function, perhaps.
It's the easy way out.
But no, easy way out doesn't solve the problem. Yes, because you're going to turn the other person into a wreck. And I believe we don't want that. So I believe for the men, encouraging them to watch out for all these things we've talked about, and also following them. Then if you have a partner who seems to be having some symptoms, who is going to the clinic to see a doctor, go along with them. Because there's a few things the doctor might say that even you as a man will catch up on, and you can help to remind them. Because we talked about forgetfulness earlier on.
Please don't point at Helen.
No, I was just gesticulating.
I don't mind. He's a medical practitioner, not you.
So we talked about forgetfulness, and I feel, you know, when you get back, you can always help remind, they told you that you needed to check this, you need to eat better, you need to exercise, you need to watch out for this. Then, they gave you some drugs, because there are still some medications that we could still give to help the women to have a lot of relief of these symptoms, especially hot flushes and all these genitourinary problems and all that. So if the medications are given, you could also help to ensure she takes it on time.
Okay, so real quick, doctor, because I see that we're running out of time. And before the show started, we talked about this transition from being
having periods
to menopause.
Did you say being normal?
Period called climacterics.
You heard him. He said be normal.
It's all nature.
It's normal from beginning to end.
Of course it is.
In a good way, Harry.
Yes.
Okay.
So now that managing that transition, you talked about some ways by which you help women, you know, to be able to have that transition well managed, so that, you know, they don't have that trauma in quotes.
Yes. It's important. First of all, information is key, and I believe every woman out there should know that there's a period that is going to come when there's going to be
the egg
So when the period of climacteric starts and you start having all those feelings of some little bit of hot flushes, more dryness than usual when you want to meet your husband sexually, and it comes gradually, then it's good to understand that this is happening. Then menstrual period starts becoming irregular. Maybe it starts coming once in 3 months, something that's been coming every month before. Then you understand that, this is actually happening. All right. And during that transitionary phase, that's when to actually start making sure that if you smoke, you stop smoking. If you're using some kind of stimulants, you stop that. A few studies have suggested excessive consumption of alcohol, stimulants, alcohol. Coffee has not been extensively discussed with regards to that, but one or two studies have mentioned that as well. So those things need to be cut down in order to reduce the tendency for the effect of menopause to be severe as well. And then, you know, we have some people who we do surgery for that require us to take out their ovaries.
Yes.
So when we have those kind of people, after doing that kind of procedure, we could put estrogen implants under their skin. So that allows an overlap between having a lot of estrogen and not having it at all.
Okay.
Because it could be crazy. You have estrogen in your ovaries today, and you get a surgery that takes out the uterus and the ovaries, and tomorrow is zero. So it could actually drive somebody crazy. It makes the effect of menopause severe. So one way to overlap those things, and we have tablets as well of those things. I held one copy, a sample here, which we have and we give to our patients who do surgery with us and who might have those kind of things. So they take it over a period of time. It has like a dialogue, and all these things are things that also, in order to reduce the tendency for forgetfulness, like we were talking about earlier, they made them easy so you can dial the days of the week and start the next one, so it's not easy to forget some of this kind of things. So when you have those things, it also helps to reduce all these side effects that we're talking about, and ease from a life of not menopause to a life of now menopause.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
You see, we're going to have to regard this as a part one of this discussion, because I mean, as we moved along, the thing is, you know, is growing a lot.
It's a wide topic,
But
actually.
thanks for saving us,
Thank you.
us men, because now we understand a lot better
Thank you.
why the AC has to be a full blast or the fan has to be turned off.
Or when they are looking for their glasses, they don't know where
They don't know where
glasses
their
are. So
pen is.
As if the men too don't look for their glasses at some point.
you know, there's menopause as well.
They look for the pen. They're wearing. They're carrying the car keys and they're looking for the keys.
Okay.
Can you help me find where my car keys are?
I agree.
All right, thank you so much, Doctor. Really, this has been more than a conversation for me, because I never thought that menopause had all of these hang-ons, you know, and it could be as serious as you have mentioned. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Dr. Olaleye, for such a thorough and enlightening conversation you've had with us today, and we hope that you come back for part 2.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
I'll be glad to do that.
All right, so the men there should remember that both in good times and bad times, whatever that means, love is about sharing. We appreciate your time once again, Doctor.
Yes.
And we'll come calling very soon.
Thank you.
So, coming up after the break, Dr. Gynae Usoro will dive into the topic erectile dysfunction. What women should know. You won't want to miss it, I promise you. Stay with us.